This project is called 60 Shapes. What you're going to do is use watercolor pencils. And if you're at home and you don't have watercolor pencils, you can use watercolors. But if you have watercolor pencils, this is a good way to introduce watercolor in the projects that are going to be following now. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw out, use at least 3 different colors, and you're going to create 60 different shapes, all up to you, and you're going to try to fill up this paper. This paper is 9 inches by 12 inches, and we're going to start with some different shapes and just fill them in with water after you get done. So you start out by, let me use purple to begin with. And I might zoom in so you can see what's going on at some point, but I might not. Okay, so I'm going to start out with a circle. Then after you've got this drawn in, what you're going to do is you're going to do some shading from like a 10 to a 1. You're going to go dark just on one side, just to give it just a little bit of a variation in the shape. So I'm going to start down here. Okay, now I'm going to use red, and I'm going to do 10 more shapes. The reason I had 60 is there's 3 primary colors, 3 secondary colors, and if you do 10 shapes in each one of those, you get 60 shapes. Now you can do more than 60, but this just gives you kind of a direction to aim toward. Okay, so let's do triangles for this one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade a corner and have that kind of fading from a 10 to a 1. Next, let me use yellow. I'm going to pick yellow here, and I'm going to do flame kind of shapes like this. Next, I'm going to take orange, and I'm going to disperse these shapes. I'm going to do squares around inside here and kind of mix them up even more. Next, I'm going to use green, and I'm going to do star shapes. The last color I'm going to use is blue, and I'm just going to go with circles again and make them different sizes. There, now I have my 60 shapes. Actually, I have a few more than 60, but what happens is I can come back in if I want to add a few more shapes. Like I might want to put a few more purple circles in here, like this, just to kind of fill this space. And so I've got this here. Now, brushes. What happens is I've got some different size brushes. This big one's called a wash brush. You won't want to use that one. This is a flat, and this is a smaller wash brush. We put that to the side for later projects. This one is round, but this one you probably won't use. The ones that you want to use are like a 0, and this one's called a 6. But from a 0 to a 2, 3, 6, you can use those. Then you're going to take water, and the idea is keep the water inside the shape. Don't let the shapes touch with the water, otherwise they'll mix the colors. So what you're going to do, the thing that I want you to learn on this project is how to get a nice clean shape with water just working inside. So let's say I start with the yellow. If I just go inside the shape and lightly touch the paintbrush and just pull it like this, you're going to find that this color starts to mix nicely. And be careful not to put your hand in wet paint or the wet water that has the pigment or the color in it. Then you pull this where you put the shading in there, and you can pull that. Notice how I pull the brush toward me or to the side. I don't ever push away from me. And then you just kind of like this. If your water gets dirty, change it. And then we're going to do all these yellows. Next, I'm going to do the orange. Check your water, make sure it's clean. If it needs washing or cleaning, take it over, dump it out, and get new water. The water's pretty clean here. I'm going to start where I drew the shaded corner and work my way out. And you're going to see that it picks that color up and kind of spreads it. Next, let's do the red. And I'm going to go red, purple, blue, and then green. There, now that it's done, here's all the different shapes. There's at least 60 shapes on this. I filled it in with water. And what's going to happen now is if you have extra time, you can maybe put some more shapes or use the Sharpie markers and put some designs around the edges. But again, try not to let the water touch go outside the edge of the shape, so you're learning how to control the watercolor.